This gel polish with film coating has been on for about 3 months now, and it's different for everyone. Her nails grow so fast here. Honestly, the length is really long, and it was already hard for her to manage. Today I want to show you how you can remove the film coating, and there are actually some little nuances here. The thing is, the nails grow upwards a lot, and the coating is quite thin, so we'll use a bit like this with a yellow band, a very, very fine one. Now I'm showing my movements from the side, so I'm not moving from the cuticle to the free edge, but rather I'm moving more from right to left with gentle stroking motions. This is necessary to remove a very, very thin layer because you can't use super coarse bits on every nail. Especially when it comes to pedicures, there are often not only thick toenails, but thin ones as well. If, for example, you thin the toenail too much, nothing good will come of it. It will most likely be bad because this can cause the nail wall to curl or the wall may break, and as a result there will be all sorts of unpleasant problems. So try using yellow or red drill bits. The main thing is that their edge is straight, so you can gently and carefully remove the coating with smooth stroking motions. Here foils were applied over a gel polish base and sealed with a gel polish top coat. That's the reason why I didn't remove these foils with an orange stick and nail polish remover. And on the pinky, there's a little surprise. I decided to show it too. So she bought some new shoes, got blisters, and wrapped them with this kind of bandage. Everything got all sweaty and turned green. Also, I don't suggest covering blisters this way. It's a bad idea since everything gets wet and you could get an infection. Use breathable bandages. They are now available at pharmacies. The length is really long. It's actually way too much for nails like this, and it causes a lot of discomfort. You can't really wear closed shoes anymore. Here I'm showing my model, and you can see that her toes are positioned together like this, so she has some pretty serious calluses. But today we're focusing on the toes themselves, so we'll skip the heels for now. So what am I going to do? I'm going to work very, very carefully because it turns out there's a lot of sensitivity here, almost as much as I have myself. Everything hurts for me too, so we gently pushed it back with a pusher, and now we're just covering it completely with talcum powder. I'm using Potostop from Domic in my work. It's an absolute must-have. You can see my camera lens in the second hand when someone was filming me. Well, what can I say? These fingers, these toes are very moist, and the cuticle is very sensitive. In general, it was really hard to work. I took a bit with a yellow band. Mine is from KMIS, and I have to say, on feet like these, you have to work almost without breathing. Work carefully, shallowly, and gently. Also, I want to remind you that I'm using the Dr. Alex SP 100 machine, which is quite a budget-friendly version, and I am often asked if it can handle pedicures. It handles both pedicures and manicures quickly and effortlessly. For example, unlike the SP 130, it's not as quiet, but it's pleasantly affordable. If you're wondering which device to start with, I think Dr. Alex's SP 100 is perfect for beginning with hardware or combined techniques, as I'll demonstrate. I'm cleaning gently, not too deep, and being very careful. To prevent skin injury here, it's safer to underclean than overclean. Her pinky toes are actually cute, even though her shoes are always narrow. By a funny coincidence, the pressure isn't on her pinky toe, but on the skin. A little higher, which you can't see in the frame right now, but honestly, they're just huge there. So, what do we do next? Next, I'm taking this, maybe a Fisher burr. I think it's called a Miss. I recently showed a similar burr, and it's really great for opening up the sinuses, meaning it helps to get everything out of there, to scrape out all the periungual calluses. It cleans and clears out everything. You can see how big her callus is under her big toe. So I actually kind of regretted not filming all of that, because we were already finishing up and quickly working on the heels. But next time, if she grows them out again, I'll try to film them. As for the cut itself, we did it with nippers, very shallowly, very, very gently, because honestly nothing else would work here. And in the end, after the cut, I decided to use a pedicure drop bit, red, with a blunt tip, with a blunt nose. Because I realized that what I did wasn't enough. Flame. So I look at it and I really don't like how it looks, so I think I'll take this other bit. To make it more pleasant to work further, I'm showing you. Renovator is an antiseptic with keratolytic, astringent and moisturizing effects. I apply it and it starts working almost immediately, literally after a short time. What I did was apply it, Cleaned everything again, and now I'm using nippers to finish up the leftovers. Any little bits? Now I see everything clearly. To get the cleanest result possible, given the condition, it's almost like working under a microscope here. It's very dangerous, very delicate, and I tried to be really careful there. Next, we work with the base. Here, I will apply a base coat to the nail and slightly fill in any previous grooves or maybe some lifted coating. I'm not sure. Basically, I'm applying something thinly. But right in the middle, where she has a really strong uneven spot, I add a little bit of micro volume. But I'll say right away, this is not an instruction or a guide to action. This is a very specific case, and I actually don't support this approach more often than I do. You should really think carefully before doing this. But since overall it doesn't seem like she has any severe twisting or anything like that. We allowed this manipulation because without it the film won't lay properly on a wavy, uneven nail and will look bad. And here I'm showing how I apply the color gel. By the way, here I used a color gel from International Mobile Equipment Identity by the brand Revanova Nails. There was a breakthrough with the films, and they made cool sets where they matched several shades of gel polish to each film, and they did it in super small bottles. I highly recommend trying it because it's great. You stick a big film, for example, on your thumb, and you don't have to pick and think about which shade will match perfectly. Revanova and International Mobile Equipment Identity have handled everything for us. It's convenient and awesome. I recommend applying a very thin layer to toenails using the gel's brush for an ultra-thin coating, which I'll show at the end. Now I'm showing the set of films from Revanova Nadezhda. Look how cool this is. Here, for example, everything is just for the big toes, and that's really convenient. We chose these. Well, they look like watercolor poppies. I really like them. I wore them on my hands before, and today we're doing them on the feet. But we didn't quite plan everything right with our model. So we chose a smaller film. There are bigger ones and smaller ones. We took the small one because the toenails are also small. While I was arranging and laying it out, I realized that during the process of applying the film, everything would be filed off. All of our little red flowers. Oh, and by the way, remember this. It's an interesting life hack. I put the film on, everything was fine, but there wasn't enough on the side, so I just added a little piece and no one will ever know. Yes, there are life hacks like this. You can do it this way and nothing bad will happen. So basically, our problem was that while we were putting on the film, we filed and cut off all the parts that were supposed to match our forefingers. And we realized that, well, it didn't look very nice, so we decided to fix the situation. Now I'll tell you how we're going to fix this situation, since we already have all the gel polish shades picked out in advance that are a perfect match. I decided to simply paint over the flowers that were left on my nail and color them in the shade I need, so that everything comes together nicely. Here I'm showing a way to trim the film using a drill bit. I've tried this a few times already, and overall I like it, but you need to get the hang of it so that the drill bit works well. You need to find the right angle, and probably it's best to do this with a drill bit that has a flame shape. I used a pedicure drop-shaped bit. As they say, you need skill, experience, and practice for everything, so keep working at it and it will turn out well. If you can't do it this way, the safe option is a fine grit file, which will save you in any unclear situation, and it's important to remember that you should never tear off the film. You need to file all of it, and then you can carefully remove it. If it's still attached somewhere, like it is for me right now, you can either file it down more or carefully trim it like this. I did this with a nipper, and here is our little corner that we glued on here. Of course, I also trim it with the nipper. And next we can move on to saving the design, which will simply mean that we carefully paint the flowers we have in the colors of the neighboring forefingers. I take a gel brush and, not densely, very lightly, I apply these chaotic strokes, not generously at all. It's important to note that many gel polishes are likely the most pigmented on the market right now, and that's no exaggeration. They are super pigmented, so you really need to apply them very sparingly, but you buy one polish and it will last you forever, it will never run out. I blended my flowers a little bit in a kind of random freeform way using a base or a top coat. Honestly, I can't remember right now. All I have left is to apply the anti-vandal top coat and let it dry. And this is the beautiful result we get. Now everything matches perfectly for me. The life hack really works. I totally recommend it. And look, you can't even see anymore where I patched something, where I tried to be clever or save the situation. Ultimately, we see a beautiful, neat pedicure that looks like a watercolor painting, though it's just film and gel polish. And yes, we don't remove the hair on the legs because she's totally fine with it and it doesn't bother me at all. So let's take a look and admire the result. And as usual, as I promised, let me show you now how thin it will look from the edge. Right now, in super macro mode, I'm showing you that it's very, very thin. The thickness of the films is exactly the same thickness I'll have with the gel polish, and that's because it's super, super, super pigmented. This way it will be safe for the nails. That's all from me. Bye-bye.